AMC have announced a new spin-off for The Walking Dead, but who and what will it be about? Let's go through all the possible characters that this spin-off could be about. Number 1, Michonne. Now Michonne is probably the most likely. It is confirmed that she will leave in season 10. This spin-off would be all about finding Rick. So this spin-off would come before the Rick Grimes movies and lead up to them. So I think the show is really trying to just focus on the Whisperers and the comic storyline right now. So Daryl will stay and deal with the Whisperers, but Michonne will go and look for Rick. I can imagine this series having the same sort of vibe that the Telltale version of Michonne's comic story ended up having. Michonne being a lone survivor the whole time. I can see her even coming face to face with the Fear characters. Michonne was always meant to be this lonely character who was good at being lonely, making her the perfect choice for the spin-off. Either way, she's leaving to find Rick, so whether she's in the movies or in her own spin-off, she's leaving. Number 2, Abraham. Scott Gimple said on The Talking Dead that in the movies we'd see faces from the past, but with that being about Rick, I think he was actually referencing this spin-off, and I think that we could see Abraham. We've already seen proof on Fear the Walking Dead that Eugene and Abraham have come face to face with characters from that show, and obviously this would have to be a prequel. And before Abraham met Eugene to then meet the original group, he was in Texas, and Scott Gimple also said on The Talking Dead we'd see different corners of the world, and obviously Texas isn't really that far from where The Walking Dead is set, but this could even be a way to show how far the Whisperers spread out. And if not, let's be real, Abraham is probably the best character in The Walking Dead, so to have him in another show, his own series, would be really good in itself. I'd kind of just hate to love it though, because obviously as good as Abraham is, we all know how it ended. Number 3, the Governor. I'll leave a link in the description and the comments to a theory I made a few days ago about David Morrissey wanting to come back and probably will get his own show. It's very likely. He even said himself he feels the Governor has more to give. But thinking about what would be talked about the most and what spin-off would genuinely do well, I found the Governor quite a dull character at times. And when he had an episode to himself, I found that genuinely boring. And for a spin-off nowadays, you're really going to want to have a spin-off that could relate back to the main show. So it's set at the same time, or it builds up to then join back with the main show, because right now the main show needs it. Number 4, Negan's backstory. I've said this in one of my videos before. I think putting Alpha's backstory before Negan's was a poor choice, because Negan is the character that will later become good, who is trying to be good. And right now he's still that guy who killed the 2 best characters of the show pretty much. And he did have that moment where he told Gabriel about his backstory, but in order to really understand Negan, I think it's really needed to have some sort of backstory. And if you've not read the comics, it's actually quite hard to really understand why Negan cares about his Bat Lucille so much. Negan has only actually mentioned stuff about his wife twice on the show, and as much as I love Negan, and as likable as I think he is, people are still very sour about the 2 deaths he had when he was only in the show for literally 30 minutes. I'm gonna say this is the most likely spin-off, because what the show can do, with Negan being in a cell this much, the actor can actually go and do the spin-off pretty quickly. And I don't quite know how that would work into a big spin-off, so I think it's just gonna be a 1 season, 6 to 9 episode series. Number 5, new place, new characters. This is relating back to what Scott Gimple said on The Talking Dead. He said we're going to see new corners of the world. So just like Fear the Walking Dead was originally meant to be, a completely new show. It will be somewhere completely different in the world, completely new characters, and it probably won't wind into the main show as much. So where would this be? The most likely on the list of other places would be China, just because this is an already established place in Robert Kirkman's world. A new graphic novel spin-off was made for China. It was set in China, and they sort of paved the way for new territory. Another place would be Europe. Never in any comic or TV show related in this universe has ever mentioned anything outside of Europe. This could lead to The Cure, but more likely so just brand new characters. With brand new characters at this point in this universe, it would most probably have a Star Wars Rogue One approach. Whether it's a prequel or set in the same time, adding new characters at this stage could just be made to die. Number 6, Clementine. For those that don't know, this is the leading character of a Telltale Games game series. It's literally an animated game of the comics, meaning it's set in the same universe as the comics, and they coexist. We know this because in season 1, when you're playing as Lee, you actually talk to Comic Glenn. And after a while, he leaves you and then goes to Atlanta, back to the main group, and then he goes on to live through the comics. In the 3rd season, Jesus even appears. And in the final season, the one that's slowly coming out now, you meet a character called James, and he's actually a member of the Whisperers, or at least was, and he's taken part in the Whisperer War. That's the same arc in the comic that is going on right now in the game. Which makes you think a little bit, the fact that we're on the final season of the game now, and then AMC have announced this spin-off at the exact time when the game and the show are in the same sort of story arc that the comics had already done a while ago. And as much as I'd like to see her story sort of continue in the show, they are in 2 completely different universes. Clementine is in the comic universe, whilst the TV show is set in a completely different alternate reality to that. But the thing is with that, every single character that has appeared in the comic universe has some sort of version of that in the TV show. Just like with Daryl in the TV show, he's not even in the comics, but there's such a big possibility that he's somewhere out there in the comic. Rick's in the comics and didn't leave when the Whisperers started. And so if there's a Clementine version in the comic universe that Telltale Games has created, where's her TV counterpart? It's inevitable that she exists somewhere in that world, but it's whether AMC, it's whether the writers would want to even mess with that and create a different version of that. I'm gonna say it's likely. Number 7. Rick's brother. Now, in my opinion, this is the most crazy one. Now, there's a lot of coincidences, a lot of dumb things that happen on The Walking Dead, and in the whole universe, it always happens. Like with Morgan finding the fear cast, Connie running into the field the other day. But what would be the chances Rick's brother finds him, and that's what the whole spin-off is about? Or the more likely version, the spin-off is about Rick's brother finding him, but never actually finds him and just dies. Maybe to have Rick come across his corpse in his movies. If you didn't know already, Rick's brother, Jeffrey Grimes, had his own mini novel. It was called The Alien. It all revolved around Jeffrey Grimes, and in the end he had all this build up only to get bitten on the leg and die. He was put down by someone called Claudia. This is a woman who he spent the whole mini-series with. Now, if AMC wanted this spin-off to happen, what would be the whole point of it? If Jeffrey Grimes has his own spin-off, he dies and that's it, what would be the point of it? Well, Rick Grimes' name in the universe is well known now. He's known for taking out the saviors, for unifying all these communities, and it's a well-known saying that the new world needs Rick Grimes. Like, this is an actual thing these characters go by in the main show. He's seen as a legend now. Even most of the saviors in season 9 saw him as a celebrity, and so the whole point of Jeffrey Grimes getting his own spin-off would be for him to die and to give something to Claudia, or to say something to pass on to Rick, so that Claudia can then go on into the movies and be one of the leading characters with Rick. Out of all of these, this is the one I really want to happen, but it's one of the most unlikely. So that's all the characters I think could have a spin-off, whether it's a TV series, Netflix series, or a big movie. A spin-off can mean many things. I'm going to make it my job to find out where, when, and who this series will be about. Make sure you're commenting down below what you think, and make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to know about all things The Walking Dead. In a few seconds, there will be some videos popping up on your screen. They're pretty interesting videos, so if you want to go and give them a try, maybe you'll like them too. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, one more thing. I've heard the Whisperers will come and get you if you don't subscribe, so you might want to just subscribe.